and welcome back to Adventures with Ariel. Well, it's not even October and yet I'm already planning my Halloween costume, already decorating, and of course already making Halloween YouTube videos. And as a lover of both Halloween and all things Disney, I've been known to dress up as a Disney character more than a few times. But looking back at these old photos got me thinking, what did the earliest Disney Halloween costumes even look like? Okay. Well, that's terrifying. Yep, according to the WaltDisneyCompany.com, these are some of the earliest Disney costumes in existence. And I know this video is supposed to be about Snow White's influence on Halloween. I'm getting there, I promise. Anyways, on October 19th, 1933, the McCall Pattern Company issued the patterns for the Child's Fancy Dress costume that were inspired by then popular Mickey and Minnie dolls. So yes, kids were meant to wear these, and adults could acquire similar Mickey costumes that were made by family-owned costume shops. Ugh, these were equally as terrifying, if not more. But in the 1930s, this was as close as you could get to dressing up as a Disney character for Halloween, or any popular character for that matter. Halloween just wasn't what it is today. Nowadays, it's so easy to just walk into a costume store and find an endless selection of costumes based off of the year's hottest movies and TV shows. But as evidenced by the bizarre Mickey costumes of the past, licensed Halloween costumes weren't really a thing in the first half of the 20th century. That is, until a Jewish immigrant named Ben Cooper was inspired by a little film called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Let me explain. Our story begins in the 1920s, when Cooper, a theatrical costume designer, created looks for Broadway's Ziegfeld Follies variety shows and the Cotton Club in Harlem, where America's top black performers played to white audiences during the heyday of jazz music. But in the 1930s, theatrical taste would shift away from the stage to film and radio. So Cooper was struggling to make ends meet until he had his first brilliant idea. At this time, Halloween, which was long considered a pagan holiday, was growing in popularity. During the 20s and 30s, schools and communities began to truly celebrate the holiday. This was the start of long-time Halloween traditions such as dressing up and trick-or-treating. Cooper saw a hole in the market for mass-produced costumes, so he started selling his own cheap mask and outfits for the holiday. Now, it's important to note that Cooper wasn't the first to sell disposable Halloween costumes. Since 1910, the Denison Manufacturing Company had sold cheap paper costumes for people to slip over their clothes. But Cooper took it a step further by creating silk-screened fabric costumes and pairing them with masks. Good idea, but not as good as the one he had in 1937, when Disney released Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the first full-length animated feature film. The movie was a huge hit, selling 109 million tickets. Cooper was intrigued by Snow White's success and realized that kids would want to dress up as the title princess and scary stepmother. So he approached Walt Disney with a proposition, a licensing agreement for Snow White costumes. Walt agreed, and Cooper started making some serious dough. You see, before Ben Cooper, Halloween was primarily centered around the spooky and supernatural. But Cooper knew that kids who watched movies would want to dress up as their favorite characters, whether they were scary or not. You see, Disney was a perfect fit for Ben, who was allegedly very insistent that they, quote, not do a lot of really dark things. Mickey Mouse was also a huge hit for Cooper, and this time around, the masks were gauze. And yeah, still terrifying. Over the years, the costumes did become a little cuter and more colorful, having thin plastic masks with painted on faces and an outfit resembling that of a garbage bag. It is fascinating to look back on these wacky costumes of yesteryear, as well as the boxes that house them. They're actually a pretty high quality, and today are coveted collectibles. So naturally, the wonderful world of Disney provided an endless character catalog for Cooper. Donald Duck, Tinkerbell, Cinderella, the Dwarfs, Sleeping Beauty, the Mouseketeers, and Davy Crockett all had their Ben Cooper costume equivalent. And over the years, the Ben Cooper collection would extend far beyond that of Disney, carrying many characters of the Marvel and Star Wars variety. You know, before they were Disney. Although Ben Cooper revolutionized the Halloween industry, his costume empire eventually failed. Throughout the 80s and 90s, the company filed for bankruptcy multiple times, and in 1992, Ben Cooper Inc. was bought out by Ruby's Costume Company. So after decades of Ben Cooper being the king of Halloween, how did this happen? Well, for one, the 1980s saw a rise in adults celebrating Halloween, and as a result, the market saw greater demand for high-quality cloth costumes. Ben Cooper Inc. had cloth costumes, but producing them proved to be too expensive and complicated for the company to handle. Not to mention that there were a lot of new rivals popping up that were selling high-quality latex masks and more realistic costumes. One of these rivals was Ruby's Costume Company, the same company that bought Ben Cooper. So while Ben Cooper's heyday couldn't last forever, his legacy still remains. Cooper helped transform Halloween into the pop culture bonanza that it is today, and for that, I will always be grateful. But it really is fascinating to go back and look at how costumes have evolved since Ben Cooper put his stamp on Halloween. For instance, look at how much the princess costumes have changed. When was the last time you saw a Disney princess who was actually wearing a mask? Much less a mask that looked like this. And have you ever seen a Mickey Mouse wearing this checkered ensemble? Okay, maybe if you were born before 1980, but you gotta admit, Mickey costumes have come a long way. I mean, take a look at the reasonably priced cloth Mickey costumes that you have to choose from nowadays. For kids and adults, you get the bow tie, gloves, iconic red pants, and yellow shoes. No more checkered garbage bag with a Mickey printed on it. We've also seen quite the transformation in Donald Duck costumes, Spider-Man costumes, Star Wars costumes, you name it. We've come a long way from Ben Cooper, and an even longer way from this. So I sincerely hope that none of y'all have nightmares tonight because of what I've shown you in this video. I mean, thank goodness we live in a time where we don't have to worry about bumping into this on Halloween night, am I right? But if you are old enough to remember a time when these cheap plastic masks ruled Halloween, please let me know in the comment section below. Tell me if you ever wore Ben Cooper. Also, be sure to tell me what Halloween costume you plan to wear this year. I still have no clue what I'm gonna be, so I could use some good ideas. And if you learned something new today, please give this video a huge thumbs up, as well as hit that subscribe button down below for new Disney history every single week. Alright y'all, thank you so much for watching. Have a magical day and a happy October. Thank you.